Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Huddle. This is Tristan, Ruby Ambassador with Plexus. So honored and excited to be joining you guys again for another marvelous Monday night. We have something super fun to share with you guys tonight. So several people in our Texas team went this last weekend and saw Sonya Dudley talk. And if you don't know who Sonya Dudley is, she's a Diamond Ambassador in our Plexus company, and she is a Southern Belle Spitfire. There isn't anybody quite like Sonya, and there's very good things with that. A little background on Sonya before I hand this over to them. She was actually a very successful entrepreneur in another network marketing business. And this is a recording, so I guess I really can't say the name out loud, but it starts with an M and ends in an airy K, put it together. Like so much successful that she had like the car, she had the Cadillac. It was red and white if you mix those two colors together, because I think that would kind of give it away. We don't want to say that name out loud. So, like she was up there, honky tonk in that network marketing land, and actually left with her BFF, Helen McFadden, another Diamond Ambassador in our company. And they started working with Plexus. And so if you've never listened to her Diamond Doc or you've never followed her on YouTube, she has an amazing YouTube channel. Go do that. You will get huge information from those sites. But in the meantime, these awesome ladies went to a training this last weekend. And I, for one, am so excited to hear about their takeaways. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Christy Cook, and her rock stars that went are going to share their takeaways. And then at the end, I'll wrap it up with a little mindset talk. All right, Miss Christy, it's all yours.
Awesome. Hey, so yeah, and a little further explanation. One of my rock stars, Amy Rogenbach, lives in Alabama actually, and Sonya just happened to be in Alabama 2 weeks before the Texas one, so she went all by herself. How many hour drive? Like 5, did you say? 6 hours, excuse me. She drove 6 hours by herself to go to this training, which was totally worth it. But I have to say, even as a Ruby ambassador, I'm not sure I would have driven that far by myself. So I just am constantly impressed with Miss Amy Rogenbach. So anyway, amazing training. Carrie Gregg, Kirsten York, Amber, and Sarah Haller we all went to the one here in the Woodlands, Texas. So Sarah actually drove from San Antonio to go. Sonya is known to be that great. Tristan's not just saying that because she's a diamond. She really is that amazing. She's from Tennessee, has an amazing accent, has that sweet Southern belle mindset to her. She's everything that Tristan talked about. So I will admit I was a little bit late to it, so I missed the first 40 minutes, so maybe Carrie can catch you up on whatever she said in that part. I had several boys at my house for the weekend, and I had to get them out the door before I could leave. So but I'll cover what I learned the stuff that stood out the most to me, and then, we'll pass the mic, so to speak, and we'll all share, those of us that were able to get on. A couple of us had previous engagements. So, and then, as you know, Amber has quite the big excuse to not be on these right at the moment. So, very valid. But so anyway, the first thing that she really talked about when I got there was the law of the mirror. And it really, really hit home with me because she explained to us that you will never outperform your self-image. So whatever you see yourself as, you're never going to outgrow that or outperform that. And that is also the value that others will put on you if that's the only way that you see yourself. So if that's what you're projecting, if that's what you're believing about yourself, you're never going to move on. You're never going to outperform that, and no one is going to expect you to outperform that unless you change your mindset. And that really spoke to me because, yes, we hear it all the time about mindset and changing your mindset to move on. But the simple fact that other people see you in the way that you're projecting yourself was huge too. Yes, people encourage you and try to get you to move on, but if you're constantly projecting that same self-image of yourself, they're going to give up and they're going to just let you be where you are. And nobody can move nobody can move you on except for you. So, then she went through some steps to build your self-esteem. But the one that really stuck out to me, and I'm always trying to pick up relational tips because that is not my strong suit. Building relationships and building friendships, I am very much a task-oriented person. So sometimes I forget to build a relationship. I love my friends. I love my family. I love spending time with them and chatting with them. But if there's a job to be done, I'd rather get it done than stand there and talk to you. It's just the way I'm wired. So I'm constantly trying to pick up tips to help me with that weakness. And I loved the one tip in that section where she talked about when she was feeling down, when she was having a bad day, when she was feeling like she wasn't worthy of her position, whether she felt like she was stuck, if she was just all around having a bad day, she made it a point to reach out and add value to somebody else. Because in that moment, 99% of the time, that person's going to reach back out to you and say, oh my goodness, thank you so much for doing that. That's exactly what I needed to hear today. And it then brings your mood up. It makes you feel better about who you are because you've added value to somebody else's life. So I loved that. She also very, very, very highly recommended the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, by the way. And apparently a lot of that stuff that I just talked about was taken out of that book. Oh, the horse story. I loved this story. Amy, I don't know if you got this story, but we did, and we all laughed super hard because we are all so guilty of this story. So I'm going to try and retell it the best that I can. Okay, so there is a farm, a horse farm, ranch, whatever you call them. There are ranches in Texas. Farms back in the north where I'm from. But anyway, so she tells the story of this farm where there's a whole bunch of horses, and she's out in the field with these horses, and in this one spot, there is a bunch of dead horses laying in the field. And then over here, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 horses that are jumping around and playing and having a great time, and they're running and they're this and that. And she is focused on the dead horse, trying to talk it into coming back to life again. Okay, she's constantly trying to encourage it and, giving it a swift kick every now and then, and, beating it, and, everything that she can think of to do to get that horse back up on its feet and running again. Okay, and what that illustrates is your white lines. Your white lines in your back office, the people who have shut their backup orders off, they haven't ordered in 6-8 months, they won't answer your messages, they're basically the dead horse. Stop beating the dead horse and run with your runners. The runners that are happy, the runners that are ready, the runners that are motivated, the people who want it. Run with those people. Stop beating the dead horse. There is no sense in it. Do you walk away from them completely and never answer them if they message you? Absolutely not. You always, make sure you check in with them monthly, bi-monthly, every 6 months if it's been a long time since they've answered you. But walk away. Walk away and stop beating that dead horse. And it was such a good reminder, because I think we can so often get stuck on that thought of, if I had all of my white lines on right now, I would be well beyond Senior Ruby. That thought plays over and over and over and over in your head. If only. And y'all, those white lines, 99% of them are not coming back. They're not. It's just the way it is. So run with your runners. Feed the people who are excited. Encourage them. Give them suggestions. Walk alongside them. But stop beating the dead horse. So, oh, and then my last one is the fear formula. Loved the fear formula. She said, identify the fear, write it down, replace it with something better, i.e. affirmations. So turn that fear into an affirmation. For instance, we had a lady there. I'm not a crier. And I'm telling you, if she'd have talked much longer, I would have been sobbing. Just the hurt and the pain in her voice. She was terrified to speak to people that she didn't know. Absolutely terrified. And she was asking Sonya for help on how to overcome that. Amazing moment in the conference. But then Sonya turned it around and said, make your affirmation, people love to hear what I have to say. I love and I'm great at speaking to other people in the grocery store, at church, at, wherever. Turn your fear into your affirmation. And then the last one is repeat it over and over and over and over again until your brain, your computer, remembers it and understands it and believes it. So anyway, I loved that. So Amy or Carrie, who wants to go next?
Sorry, I was trying to find where the mute button.
Oh. Do you want to go first?
I don't mind. I can touch base, on some of the things that Christy said, underscore what she said, if that works for you, like from our conference. And then you can talk about your conference.
Okay. All right.
So the first part, Christy, I don't think you missed as much as you thought you did, because I only have like a half a page of notes before where you jumped in. So I don't think you were as late as you thought you were. Or maybe it just took a little bit to get rolling. But she talked about, the beginning was mostly introduction stuff, and she talked about a lot of the stuff that Tristan and Christy have already talked about. But she also mentioned that she is, I think the lady who introduced her mentioned that she is a John Maxwell trained speaker. Like, she's gone through his classes in order to learn how to give these training things. So she talked about that words are seeds, so be sure you're planting the right kind of seeds. If you want to grow apples, it doesn't do any good to plant tomato seeds. And she gave other examples like that, but that was the gist. A poor mouth equals a poor life. Sowed seeds of increase in abundance. You can bless or curse your life or your future with your tongue. Use your words and to change the situation. And that was back to the affirmations, just like Christy was just talking about. If you're afraid to talk to people, then use your affirmations to convince yourself that everyone loves to hear you talk to them. Don't talk about the problem, talk about the promise. Choose the voice of faith. Don't agree with the negative voice by verbalizing it. So if you're having negative thoughts in your head, giving voice to that agrees with that voice, and it creates pathways in your brain toward that, that negativity. So she was the voice of faith. Flip it around. Again, just the affirmations. Flip it around. And let the past go. And then she talked a little bit about forgiveness with that. Just making sure. I'm sorry, my eyes are burning. Oh, I'm having a problem with my eye, and I can't wear my contacts. And right now it's burning. So that's awesome. So I apologize. I'll just sit here with my eyes watering. Sorry. She talks about forgiveness. We've all been hurt. But you have to think about who is being hurt when you carry the hurt. And that was all part of her self-esteem talk, like getting yourself better. She talked about how her dad was not always the greatest dad, but now that he's older and having some health issues, she's his primary caregiver. And she used to be really frustrated talking to him on the phone. And she'd hang up and she'd just be like, oh, I can't believe he said that to me, and just for hours afterwards. And then finally one day it hit her. 3 minutes after he hung up the phone with her, he moved on with his life, and she's still carrying around all this anger for hours afterwards. And what good was that doing anybody? And then she just let it go. And she said now she actually has he loves her the best way that he can. And it's maybe not the way she wants to be loved, but it is what it is. And like relaxing over that has allowed her to grow herself. Christy talked about the positive self-esteem, which was awesome. She gave some power questions to ask yourself regularly, and I actually went through these this morning as part of my Monday morning weekly self-evaluation. So that helped me expand that thing that I do for myself on Mondays. Am I investing in myself? Am I genuinely interested in others? Am I grounded as a leader? And what she meant by that was, are you all in, and does your team know it? Am I adding value to my team? And she added to that, if a good thought about someone pops into your head, go ahead and let that person know, because it might be the only good thing they've heard for weeks or months or who knows how long. So if a good thought about someone pops into your head, pass that thought along. Am I adding value to my team? I think I just said that one. Am I staying in my strength zone? I guess one of John Maxwell's principles is work on your strengths, not on your weaknesses. Am I taking care of today? And am I investing my time with the right people? And that, I think, led into the horse story. Treat people the way you want to be treated, and it will come back on you. And then in the fear part that Christy mentioned, she had us write down. She talked about fears and challenges and the differences between them. Like challenge might be I can start something but never finish it. I can lose weight but I always gain it back. Or I can't get it all done. I need more time in my day. Those are challenges, not fears. So she had us write down 3 of each. And then from there, we're supposed to, side project homework, I guess, is turn those into some affirmations. She also talked about how when she first started with that other company, she recorded her affirmations on one of those, like a cassette, like with the Walkman. She was laughing about how that dated her. And I was like, no, not really. I did. I remember those days. But on the endless loop tapes, she would record her affirmations and then put on headphones and listen to, like, have it play all night in her ear while she slept. And she said that like really changed things for her. And then she talked about apps that they have that do similar things now. And y'all probably all have iPhones. I don't. I have an Android, so I only wrote down the Android app. But it was called Affirmation Remix. If anybody else is weird like me with the Android. And
the iPhone app is repeated again.
Thank you.
For iPhone users.
Thank you. She gave us a list of great books on these topics, which we can probably post in the JTD page. Oh, and then toward the end, she started talking about downhill habits and uphill habits. That was a really good section where what she talked about was that most people want I want to say it right. Most people want a downhill life with uphill results. So uphill results is, the stuff that you work really hard for and you get these great results, but the downhill life is, smooth sailing, easy street. And most people want that life, but without putting in the work. Most people want the uphill life without putting in the work. So you'll have 3 choices to face when you go for it. You can quit, you can go through it, or you can go for it. Like go through it, like just go through the motions is what she's talking about. That's the downhill life. And she was saying if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. And she pointed out a couple of times, and it was really kind of hard to hear because she's right. She said probably 70% of the people in this room today will just go home and change nothing and do nothing about. You're all sitting here going, yes, this is awesome. And then she was like, but probably 70% of you will go home, do nothing, and get no new results from all your time sitting here. And I was like, that was kind of potentially convicting. But then she talked about downhill thinking is like negative thinking. I'm not responsible. Life should be easy. And then the downhill habits from that is procrastination, excuses, apathy, just sitting back and watching life happen to you. And then there's uphill thinking, which is like a possibility thinker, thinking I am responsible and life is not easy for anyone. And then the action that you get from uphill habits, the uphill thinking is action, no excuses, never quit, awareness, and making life happen. And you can't reach potential without pain and growth. And I think that about covers, what I did. We broke out and did some coaching sessions, which were kind of cool, but I mean, there's not really kind of a very good way to talk through that here, I don't think. But it was kind of cool to get to do that.
Yeah. Amy, do you want to take a turn? Tell us what you learned in Alabama.
All right. I want to start at the very beginning before like the mirror, because that was where it hit me and kind of choked me up. She says to start where you are, the journey inward inside yourself, about finding what's holding you back. Where in your life did something go wrong that's kind of, that would hold you back. Who influences you? Whose voice are you hearing in your head? Whether it be you're not good enough or, those things. We all have those voices of somebody saying, even if it's ourselves, telling us we're not good enough or we can't do something. That was really strong. And then to bless your life with your words. So that goes into the affirmations. That was strong for me. And then the other one, did you guys talk about getting out of the boat? That was one of the books, Get Out of the Boat, and some about water walkers. Recognize God's presence. The boat is your comfort zone. Do you want to live the life of regret because you didn't get out of the boat? Push through it, grow through it. Expect problems and challenges. Be aware people will cause you problems and challenge you. Risky either way. So it's risky to stay in the boat and not move forward in life because you're afraid to get out of the boat. And it's risky to get in and swim, but that's what you got to do if you want to move forward. And then the water walkers, they talk about mastering failure management. They see failure as an opportunity to grow, and the journey will be worth it. And then all the other stuff was pretty much the same. And the other books that she suggested we read. I don't know if she gave you guys the same ones. They probably were. The one I ended up getting was the Self-Talk, Soul Talk by Jennifer Rothschild. I'm reading that one right now. And then the Switch on Your Brain. What to say when you talk to yourself. And the water walker one, I had bought that one too. And that's about all I got. No, that's not it. Okay, that's all for me.
Was there anybody else? I don't think anybody else could get on, right? Okay. Thank you guys so much. Amy, holy smokes, 6 hours, girlfriends. You're like the bomb.com. P.S. Don't go to that website. It's not what you think it is. But
Yeah, no.
you are amazing.
No, but it was worth it. It really was.
That just shows dedication. I mean, it truly does. And if I remember correctly, you worked the night before too, right?
Oh, that day, yeah. And I left work at 3:30, and I got down there about 9. But I got a hotel room, and then got up in the morning and went there. And
That's amazing. It's not something just to shrug off. Pat yourself on the back. That is fantastic.
But I drive 12 hours straight up to Michigan, so 6 is like easy.
I guess.
To me.
Jeez. I think it's fantastic. I think it's amazing. Amazing.
I got the bonus of getting to have Sarah stay with my family at my house for the weekend since she came in from San Antonio. So that was really fun. So I get to hang out. And
Sarah is a sweetheart.
She is a sweetheart. That was really fun to get to do that. My husband was like, "You know this person, right?" Like, yeah.
Yeah, that was
once.
that was the first time Amber came to our house like 2 years ago when we did a tour. She stayed on my couch for like 6 hours, and George was like, so let's talk about this. I'm like, it's fine.
I have brought people home that I have only met on the internet before. So it was not a weird question for him to ask me.
Oh my goodness.
No, I've actually met Sarah once before at Super Saturday.
That's hilarious. So funny.
And also I leaned over to Kirsten at one point. It might have been before you got there, Christy, and I said, "We're the most popular table at the whole event because Amber was there with the baby." And literally every single person in the room stopped by at some point to ooh and ah over the baby. At one point, somebody came and just took him. She knew the person.
God love Amber.
It was Sarah Mays.
Oh.
No, not Sarah Mays, Jamie Mays.
Sorry. Yeah, okay. I don't know all the people yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about the Texas, when you guys have events, like, it's not just you guys that show up. You have like diamonds and sapphires and emeralds, and I mean, it's a convention. Like, there's a ton.
It was a very sparkly, jeweled filled room. It was, just go, oh, look at that. They're all here. It was very cool.
Yeah. Well, I want to end our little huddle here. We're kind of over on time. So I just want to end huddle on a mindset note, which is pretty much exactly what all of them talked about. And that's what Sonya Dudley's whole training pretty much is on. She's very big on mindset and very big on how you view yourself is really how your business blooms. And also not just like for your business, but in general in life. And that's something I've been really focusing with my team on. And Bob Heilig this morning did a video. I shared it to Journey Towards Diamond, and it was all about fear and facing your fears. And fears is something we talk about often. It's not like it's the first time we've ever heard it, but kind of similar how you guys talked about the fear formula that Sonya talked about, turning your fears into affirmations. Bob pretty much said the same thing, but his was mentioned just in a different way. And how he said was to have a compass, like your compass of life, based on the direction that you go is based on your fears. So if your compass points to something that you're fearful of, that is the direction that you should be traveling. So if you get up like the person you talked about at Sonya's training that was scared to death of speaking, she knew that that was the area she needed to follow. She knew that that was something she needed to embrace. And that's why she asked Sonya about how to do that. We all need to be doing that in every aspect of our life. And I shared with my team today, every big decision I've ever thought of in my life has something that's like outstanding, right? Like being married, having a child, starting my nursing career, starting Plexus, all those things happened. And when I look back on after what I would have considered a big loss. So like when I met my husband in college, it was right after, you know, we all have those first loves in high school. And it was after that first love, and I was dating nobody. I even changed my Facebook status to dating Jesus Christ and told everybody I was just unavailable. It just wasn't happening. And then lo and behold, I met my husband, right? And so from that, he obviously marriage and life and all this stuff. But if I would have continued to be fearful and embraced the fear and embraced the worry of what the future may hold, my whole life would have changed. And that's not what God wants for us. He wants to embrace us. He wants us to be the best as possible. Same thing when I was starting my nursing career. And Gabby knows this, and several of the girls I went to nursing school know this, but I am pretty much a kick butt nurse. Like, I mean, gonna brag on myself a little bit, okay? Like, I graduated top of my class. I've excelled really well in my industry. But what a majority of people don't know is my sophomore year in college, my pathology class, the teacher of that class actually pulled me aside, made me drop out, and told me I would never amount to a nurse. I didn't have it in me, and I wouldn't be a good one. And because of that, it set me behind a whole year in nursing school. I had to go to nursing school 5 years instead of 4. I could have used that as saying, okay, God, you're telling me not to do this. But I said, heck no, teacher's clearly an idiot. I'm going to find a different one. I'm going to keep going. So it's all of those things. It's those big things in life when we have these fears. It was in so many times, it's easier to look at a fear and go, okay, it's a roadblock. I'm not going to do it. It can't be done. But if we look at those fears and look at them as a compass and look at them as a direction to go and turn them into affirmations and turn them into purpose and turn them into priority, I guarantee you that is where the good stuff just begins. It's kind of like what we talked about last week when the no's and when people tell you no and when people are giving you roadblocks, that's really just the beginning of the journey. It's the same thing with our fears. When we recognize a fear, guys, that's when you're starting to train for the marathon. You aren't even running yet. You're simply deciding to do the couch to 5K. When you develop a fear and you get a fear, you're still on the couch, right? But you now know the direction to take. And that's scary. And that's something that is so easy for us to just say, I'm not going to do it. But the people that say, I'm not going to do it, are the people that will never advance. And those are the people that are always going to be the ones that are going to be telling you it can't be done. They're going to be telling you that you're crazy. They're going to be telling you that there's something bigger and better out there. And the thing that's interesting about that is these are people we love, and these are people that mean the world to us, and they're not doing it out of ill intent. They're doing it because it's all they know. And maybe they need someone to show them there's a better way, but that starts with you helping yourself, and that starts with mindset, and that starts with positive affirmations. The other thing that I listened to this morning was the mindset video that Amber shared that Sonya Dudley actually did at her training. And if you haven't watched that yet, go watch it. But it was another fantastic thing of just self-talk. If you haven't picked up on this little scenario of events, of things that are being said over and over again, I'm going to need you to go get a glass of wine and wake up, maybe take an edge, and understand the sequence of events. Mindset, you guys, priorities, self-talk. These are basic things, which is what March is all about, going back to the basics, simply doing it, knowing your priorities. These are basic mindset, simple things that are going to lead to your success. And we want you to understand that, and we want you to succeed. So I challenge you, ending this huddle. If you have not yet figured out your affirmations, you need to do that tonight before you go to sleep. If you feel down and you feel out, reach out to one of us and say, look, this is where I'm struggling. Help me figure out an affirmation. If you're struggling in self-talk, your affirmations are going to be, I love people. People are drawn to me, and we have fantastic conversations. If your affirmation, or if you're struggling with getting new ambassadors, your affirmation is going to be, people are drawn to me in flocks. They come because they know that my team and my personality is exactly what they need to succeed. If you are struggling with finances, your affirmations are going to be, I don't take loans, I give loans, okay? It's taking those things that are hurting you or that you feel like you're struggling in and making them positive. And here's the other thing that Bob talked about, and also that mindset talked about, that mindset video that Sonya shared and Amber shared. You might not believe it yet, and that's okay. We can't always help the voices that are inside of our heads, but we can always help the voice and the words that come out of our mouth. So you can think something and you can say, freak, this is ridiculous, but you're still going to speak it, because the speaking is where the words and is where the affirmations come into play. It's been said over and over and over again. The biggest difference between those that are succeeding and those that aren't start with mindset and starts with self-talk. And that's what every single one of you is going to start doing now if you haven't done yet. All right, does anybody have any questions to end us off? All right, I'm going to end the recording here.